Three stories. First, I was on a hike with my son Matthew. In a beautiful area with waterfalls. I took just me and him. He's 10. And we saw a frog walking by, and it hopped away from the path. And then it stopped. I said, let's just watch the frog. And it stopped a few feet away from the pond, little pool, and it turned around. And we went down near where the frog was, and we just looked at the frog. And I told Matthew, I said, just give your full attention to the frog. So we did. And the frog gave its full attention to us for 15 minutes. Nobody moved. The frog really liked the attention. And the image of that frog is burned into my brain. I will never forget that face. We suffer attention deficit disorder in our culture. It's not that we don't pay enough attention, it's that we don't receive enough attention. Our attention has been strip mined and turned into money. And so we all need attention so much. We live in, by and large, we live in a crying need for attention. The human psyche developed in an environment where everybody knew you intimately. And you weren't put in front of a television set. You were always interacting. And people had the attention to give. The attention wasn't so fragmented and sold away. All beings like attention. See, this fly is trying to get my attention. It likes it. Just like, kids will act up and misbehave, and even if it means they're going to get punished, they want that because their need for attention is even greater than their need, to feel comfortable. So attention is a gift, and it's a healing gift too. If you go to a doctor who really pays attention to you, you feel better already. Just because you're with the doctor and now he's going to give you his attention. So attention is something we can offer as a gift. And as I learned with that frog, you also receive a gift when you give attention. It has to be that way in order to preserve the balance of the cosmos. And we learn through the gift of attention the underlying unity of giving and receiving, that they are one. Second story. My fabulous ex-wife, Patsy, she went to a very intensive retreat in Kripalu where they practice samyama. Samyama, is that what it's called? It's an attention thing where you just create, through attention, you create oneness with other beings. And so she went out, and a fly was sitting on a leaf, and so she gave her full attention to that fly and became one with the fly, and then invited the fly, come here. And the fly flew up onto her hand. And then she said, may I pet you? And the fly allowed her to pet it.
Wow. Holy.
And she went back and told the other students when they were sharing about it. And they were just amazed. And one student came back at the next sharing and said, I really was doubtful that this could really happen. So I went out and I did it too, and I had the same experience. Third story. I was recently at a retreat also, and we did an activity where you looked another man in the eye. I think we're supposed to look each other in the eye. I'm not sure if that was part of it, but anyway, and you were supposed to speak about what you saw in that person. And I phrased it as, I see a man who, this. I see a man who, and then complete that sentence. And I gave him my full attention, kind of like in that last part 6 there, without putting opinions on it. But I think maybe some people misunderstood that instruction. I don't think Bill meant for us to squelch emotions that come up, but just opinions and judgments, but I don't know. Anyway, what I did is I gave him my full attention. And when I spoke, tears sprang to his eyes. And later he said, how did you do that? You spoke my deepest secrets. You'd never met me before, and you knew things that I barely knew about myself. Everything you said was completely accurate. I was saying things like, I see a man who believes that he missed life's greatest opportunity. I see a man, and he was very, very specific stuff. And it wasn't that I was making kind of rational projections, I wasn't trying to figure out based on any clues. It was just completely a product, it was just something I received. And that is just a small indication of what the power of attention can bring. There is a tribe in South America who have a saying, the jungle is good to think. And they use the same grammar as you would say, strawberries are good to eat. The jungle is good to think. And you may have noticed, if you go for a hike in the woods for a long time, and especially if you're looking carefully, especially if you're collecting herbs and looking for a certain herb, or trying to avoid poison ivy or something like that. Out here it's poison oak. And then you go home and close your eyes, and there's these really vivid images of the plants. You get that a little bit if you're driving a long, long, long time, but with plants it takes much less time and the images are much more vivid. It's almost as if, and it's not like you have to create the images. It's not like you have to actually paint them in your mind. They spring into your brain, fully formed, automatically. The jungle is good to think. These are an incredibly important source of nourishment. One reason that our attention has become atrophied today is that we have been plunged into an ugly world. Most things aren't really even worth looking at in the modern world. And most sounds aren't worth listening to. We've had a long journey here into this world of increasing ugliness. And we need to nourish ourselves with beauty. So, yeah, one more thing. You may have noticed, some of you have had opportunities to have really beautiful eye contact with each other in the goodnight ceremony that we've been doing. Sometimes in addition to hugging people and feeling the love, I'll also do it with the eyes. And one-on-one with people, I've had many great encounters where all I'm doing is giving you my attention. That's all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything that anyone couldn't do. I'm just giving you my attention, which is a complete giving of myself at that moment. It's very scary to do that in the beginning. And you'll find that fear coming up. The more you go into it, because when you give someone else your attention, there's none left for yourself. you can't maintain your facade